Hi, I'm Liberty and this is my Year 12 FMP. I plan to produce a podcast where each episode will be 8 to 10 minutes long. From this footage, I will grab clips to upload on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram Reels. I'd like to output the audio podcast onto streaming sites like Spotify. I aspire to create a series out of this podcast. My target audience will be ranging from the ages 11 to 18 as I wish to inform the younger generations. I want this to be a 3-part series about how people have been affected by COVID. My first part will be about life before COVID. I think this is a really good topic to talk about as many younger children wouldn't have been around. I also think it will be helpful for future generations as they'll learn about what it was like for us prior to all these restrictions and other things were put in place that still exist today. Second part will be during lockdown. I feel like lockdown is such a niche and interesting thing that happened to all of us that a lot of people wouldn't have been through. It seems almost ancient. When people talk about quarantine or lockdown, you'd even think about times like the plague or something like that. But we all lived through that in a modern day society. So I think it's really interesting to talk about how social media helped with that, how people developed and changed throughout lockdown, different things we used to do all the time that we're not used to doing anymore because it's just not the norm. My third part will be about after COVID. COVID obviously hasn't completely disappeared and there's a lot of conversation about COVID inquiries these days reflecting on the times that happened during COVID. I think it would be really interesting to talk about these inquiries in the final episode to bring it to a close. I also want to talk about the effects mentally and physically. A lot of people's mental health has been affected and people become more anxious. They don't like going out anymore just because we were confined within the same house for months and months on end. For my FMP, I plan on using my knowledge from my previous tasks. Our first project here at the Academy was an audio vox pop, and I feel like that would be really useful for this task when it comes to editing the podcast. For my short form visual content, I will use my previous knowledge from the visual tasks that we were set. We were told to produce a document from given assets and from our own assets. I feel like this will be very useful when using Premiere Pro or CapCut to edit. I think this will do really well on the Youth Choice website as part of the podcast, or even on the Youth Choice social media pages. I plan on creating weekly reflective logs to reflect on my project. I'll make sure to evaluate and reflect on this every week. I will use these logs to help me develop throughout the 11 weeks and change my project accordingly. I plan on using focus groups and surveys to get advice on how my project is going throughout the 11 weeks, just so I can adapt it and change it to fit a target audience. I'll make sure that the people I'm asking are around the target audience age that I aspire to reach.